Hey guys, I'm JC and today we're playing Aminatou the Fateshifter. This is a Planeswalker deck that looks to keep the board clear of creatures and then uses its Planeswalkers to end the game with backbreaking ultimates. If you want to build this deck yourself, then make sure to stop by the channel where we have a deck tech as well as gameplay videos showing how the deck was built as well as how it plays out. We also have a Discord group with a channel dedicated specifically to Aminatou, so if you want to discuss card swaps, new cards for the deck, as well as any swaps to the current list on the channel, then make sure to check it out. We'll have a description in the link below. Let's see if our opponents are prepared for what our Planeswalkers can really do. Alrighty guys, let's see who we're playing today. We have Geralf, Visionary Stitcher, we have Gargos, Vicious Watcher, and finally we have Kruphix, God of Horizons. Alright, let's take a look at our opening hand. It's really good actually. We have 2 lands into ramp, we have an untap effect, which is essentially a late game ramp piece into fairy. We do have a board wipe, which it looks like at least 2 of these decks at the table are going to probably be relatively, creature heavy. Displacer Kitten. Really good sort of non-infinite combo piece, but almost infinite in the deck. And Ristic Study, great card draw piece, so we'll keep this. Geralf gets the game going by playing a tap land for turn. And then they pass the turn. Gargos plays a land. And now they cast a Hardened Scales. If 1 or more 1/1 counters will be put on a creature you control, that many +1 1/1 counters are put on it instead. And that's going to be it for them. Kruphix plays their land for turn. It's a breeding pool. They have it come into play untapped to lose 2 life, and now they cast an Exploration. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. They play an extra land for turn, and it is a Field of the Dead. So when it or another land ETBs under your control, if you control 7 or more lands with different names, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. And then that is going to be it for them. We draw a Jace for turn. So let's just start by playing our Deserted Beach, which will come into play tapped, and then we'll pass it over. Geralf starts by casting a Chrome Mox. So now when it ETBs, they're going to exile a card from their hand. And they exile an Umara Wizard. Now they play a land for turn. And then they cast a Trinket Mage. When it ETBs, you may search your library for an artifact card with mana value 1 or less, reveal that card, put it into your hand, then shuffle. They find themselves a Sol Ring. And then that's going to be it for them. Gargos plays a land for turn. Next they cast an Elixir of Immortality. 2 tap, you gain 5 life, shuffle it and your graveyard into its owner's library. And then they just pass the turn after that. Kruphix plays a land for turn. And then they cast a Pendant of Prosperity. It ETBs under the control of an opponent of your choice. 2 tap, draw a card, then you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. Pendant of Prosperity's owner draws a card, then that player may put a land card from their hand onto the battlefield. They give it to us, and that is going to be it for them. We draw a land for turn. So we'll start by playing our Exotic Orchard, and then we're going to cast our Talisman. And from here, we'll just pass the turn. Geralf starts by playing a tap land. Next, they cast a Sol Ring. And then they cast a Simic Manipulator. It has Evolve, and you can tap, remove 1 or more 1/1 counters from Simic Manipulator. Gain control of target creature with power less than or equal to the number of 1/1 counters removed this way. Now they move to combat. They decide to pass straight through combat, and that is it for them. Gargos starts their turn by casting a Hungering Hydra for X equals 2. It ETBs with 2 1/1 counters on it. It can't be blocked by more than 1 creature, and whenever it's dealt damage, put that many 1/1 counters on it. It looks like that's it for their turn, and they seem to have unfortunately missed a land drop there. Kruphix plays a land for turn. A Mikakoro. Now they cast a Dissipation Field. Whenever a permanent deals damage to you, return it to its owner's hand. And that is going to be it for them. We draw an Agent of Treachery for turn. Going to be really good with our Displacer Kitten later, if we can get that combination going. But let's start by playing our Khan's Bastion for turn. And as much as it is going to attract the attention of the other players at the table, I think now's the time to get down our Ristic Study. And we're just going to ship the turn from here. Geralf starts by just moving straight to combat. This time the Trinket Mage does attack, but it's attacking the Kruphix player. I actually thought that was going to be coming our way. I guess they do want to trigger that Dissipation Field so they can return it to their hand and be able to reuse it again. So perhaps one of the downsides of running a Dissipation Field, if an opponent's actually playing an ETB deck or just good creatures that have powerful ETBs. So now they do reuse that Trinket Mage once again. That triggers our Ristic Study. They do pay for it. Now when it ETBs, it triggers the Mage as well as the Simic Manipulator. Let's see what artifact they find this time. And they actually find themselves a land, a Seat of the Synod. The Manipulator becomes a 1/2. Now they play that land for turn. And now they cast a Thassa's Oracle. That triggers our Rhystic Study. This time they actually let us draw, even though they had the 1 mana available. So maybe they have another play in their hand. We draw a Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. When Thassa's ETBs, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is your devotion to blue, put up to 1 of them on top of your library, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. If X is greater than or equal to the number of cards in your library, you win the game. And that is going to be it for them. Gargos plays a land for turn. Now they cast an Oracle of Moldiah. That triggers our Rhystic Study, but they won't be able to pay, so we get to draw. And we get ourselves a Temporal Mastery, which is going to be really good with Aminatou. Oracle says you may play an additional land on each of your turns, play with the top card of your library revealed, and you may play lands from the top of your library. Looks like they just have a Llanowar Elves on top. Now they move to combat. They swing the Hungering Hydra our way. We take the damage going down to 37, and that is it for the Gargos player. Kruphix plays a land for turn, a Yavimaya, so we all have forests now. Now they cast their commander Kruphix. That triggers our Rhystic Study. They won't be able to pay. Let's hope to get a land. We just get a Spark Double. As long as your devotion to green and blue is less than 7 and isn't a creature, you have no maximum hand size, and if you would lose unspent mana, that mana becomes colorless instead. And then they pass the turn to us. We draw a Gilded Lotus for turn. Well, luckily we had our Rhystic Study out because it looks like we wouldn't be drawing lands for quite a while. So as much as I don't want to, I think I actually have to activate the Pendant of Prosperity here, just so we can make sure that we hit our land drop for turn, because we may just start to fall too far behind. Alright, we do get a land, so that makes that pill just a little bit easier to swallow. Put that on the battlefield. And it looks like Kruphix also puts a land into play. And then we're going to foretell our Doomscar. Now we're going to move to our end step. And it actually looks like we had one of our opponents disconnect. I tried to check chat, but I didn't see anything happen there, and we were waiting for quite a few minutes. So unfortunately that knocks the Geralf player out of the game. We will have to go down to discard, and I think Jace is going to be the least useful card in our hand, so we'll discard that. And now it goes over to the Gargos player. See a Pelucranos on the top of Gargos' deck. Now they cast the Llanowar Elves. That triggers our Rhystic Study. They let us draw. And we get ourselves a Teferi. And then they put a Morph onto the battlefield. That triggers our Rhystic Study. We will draw. And we get ourselves a land. Nice to see. Now they move to combat. The Hydra comes our way once again. We get knocked down to 34. And that is going to be it for the Gargos player. On the end step, Kruphix floats 1 mana, so they will get stored with their commander. Now they play a land for turn. And then they cast a Gate to the Aether. That triggers our Rhystic Study. They do pay for it. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player reveals the top card of their library. If it's an artifact, creature, enchantment, or land card, that player may put it onto the battlefield. Okay, well the game's got going now. We actually have some pretty strong permanents in our deck. They're at least decently costly, so I'm sure we're not going to be able to beat it as much as Kruphix is, but we should still get some good value from it. And we are the first player that does benefit from it, so that's always a good thing. And that's going to be it for the Kruphix player. Right, on our upkeep, Gate to the Aether triggers. We put a land into play. So not the best hit, but we will take the mana. Now we also draw a land for turn. So let's start by playing that land. Next we'll cast our Gilded Lotus. And then I think we'll set ourselves up and we'll cast our Displacer Kitten. Because if we can untap with that next turn, I think it's going to be a big turn for us. And then we're just going to ship the turn from here. Gate to the Aether triggers on Gargos' upkeep. Let's see if they do better than us. And they get themselves their Pelucranos that we knew was on top of their library. They play a land for turn. They also have an Epic Confrontation on top of their library. So a better hit for them than us. Now they cast their commander Gargos. That triggers our Rhystic Study. But they do pay for it. It has Vigilance. Hydra spells you cast cost 4 less to cast, and whenever a creature you control becomes the target of a spell, Gargos Vicious Watcher fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. So we'll have to try to get use out of our Displacer Kitten as quickly as possible. If we're lucky, we might even be able to put Gargos onto our side. Now they do move to combat. This time the Hydra actually swings at the Kruphix player. So they might just want to get some damage in, or possibly bounce that creature back to their hand so they can trigger their Gargos. Now when it deals damage, Dissipation Field does trigger. They'll have to bounce the Hydra back to their hand. Now they move to their end step, Kruphix floats 1 mana. And then we go to the Kruphix player's turn. Gate to the Aether triggers on their upkeep. They just get themselves a Kiora's Follower, so nothing too crazy there. That does animate their Kruphix, so it's now a creature. They play a land for turn, which now triggers their Field of the Dead. It is online, so they're going to start making 2/2 zombies. Next they cast a Hive Mind, that triggers our Rhystic Study. And they let us draw. We just get ourselves a land. Whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery spell, each other player copies that spell. Each of those players may choose new targets for the copy. Okay, I'm interested in seeing how they plan to use that, and obviously abuse it. Can they do it this turn with one card in hand? No, instead they activate their Mikakoro and each player draws a card. We'll take that. We get ourselves an Urza Assembles the Titans. Another really good card. Now they move to combat. Do they swing in with their Kruphix? They don't. And now it goes to our turn. Alright, well good news. We kept our Displacer Kitten around. Let's see how much value we can get out of it. Gate to the Ether triggers on our upkeep. It looks like we just get ourselves a land. We also draw a land for turn. Okay, well we will start by casting our Teferi. We're going to use our Gilded Lotus. We'll tap for 3 blue. Now when we cast Teferi, that triggers our Displacer Kitten. We're going to untap our Gilded Lotus. So Teferi essentially costing 3 mana here. Next we're going to cast our Urza Assembles the Titans. That triggers Displacer Kitten once again. We'll target our Gilded Lotus, but I probably should have activated Teferi first. We're going to get a lot more mana out of using him. So we untap it. Saga ETBs. We'll keep it on the first chapter. So we get no Planeswalkers from that, and I don't really want any of these cards, so let's put them all on the bottom. Next, we're going to tap for 3 blue. We're going to activate Teferi's ability to untap up to 4 permanents. Now we're going to cast our Temporal Mastery. Now we'll float a mana, and then we'll activate Teferi once again. Now we'll cast our Agent of Treachery. We'll gain control of Gargos. Now we'll cast our Commander. That triggers Displacer Kitten. We'll target Teferi. And that causes the Gargos player to scoop. Now we'll activate Teferi. We'll play our land for turn. We'll lose the 2 life to have it come into play untapped. Now we'll cast our Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. We'll flicker Teferi. Now we'll activate Teferi, going through the same motions. Now we'll activate Aminatou, flickering our Agent of Treachery. We'll gain control of Kruphix. And it looks like that was enough for our opponent, and they have scooped it up. Alright guys, that is the game done. Let's go to the review and discuss what happened. Well, this game ended up being a great demonstration for just how powerful Displacer Kitten can be. When we paired that with our Teferi Planeswalker, we were able to essentially net 5 mana per non-creature spell cast, which allowed us to chain off into additional spells. Once we resolved our Agent of Treachery and began stealing our opponent's permanents, with the ability to be able to steal more over successive turns, that was enough for our opponents to quit the game and call it a day. Well, that's it for today's video. Although there wasn't much back and forth this game, sometimes there are just those games where resolving one key spell, even early in the game, is enough to secure a win. Until next time, guys.